My wife, aged 28, has undergone a significant transformation over the past 2 years. She has undergone a radical change in character and behavior. 3 weeks ago, she was a completely different person. Dori and I were experiencing a period of great happiness, believing that our relationship with my wife was on a positive trajectory. We were even discussing honeymoon plans and the possibility of adopting another dog. However, on Friday, our lives were suddenly turned upside down. I had an inkling that something was amiss and even voiced my concerns to my mother during a phone conversation that night. Without warning, my wife sent me a text message stating that she needed time to herself. She informed me that she would respect my decision and turned off her phone. When she eventually returned, she told me that she had spent the night in her car in an empty lot. I was initially surprised, but I decided not to press the issue. However, I made it clear that her behavior was unacceptable and could not be repeated. Nevertheless, she appeared to be a different person, expressing a desire for children, a career focus, and a desire to end the relationship. She also expressed concern that we might engage in infidelity in the future. This was a particularly surprising turn of events, given the circumstances. Following this, she requested some time apart, leaving the state for 2 weeks. Last night, I discovered that she had been staying at her instructor's place after seeing a movie together. Furthermore, there was photographic evidence of them socializing. It is notable that I was the individual who facilitated her career development and that she would not have had the opportunity to interact with this person had it not been for my influence. I have not yet discussed this with her, but I am attempting to ascertain the full extent of the situation. It appears that she is attempting to attribute responsibility for the difficulties in our relationship to me, claiming that I am controlling and verbally abusive. I have been attempting to identify the source of the problem, but I have been unable to find any evidence to substantiate her claims. In fact, I was the individual who suggested that she engage in therapeutic support, but this has been interpreted as a criticism of me. Calling her names in her mind, it is evident that the situation is highly complex. I made it clear to my wife that communication was crucial, especially when she shut off her phone and disappeared for more than 3 weeks. She has since accused me of being controlling, despite the fact that I did not prevent her from leaving. In fact, she has even secretly recorded me and believes that these recordings are evidence of me mentally offending her. I listened to the recordings with my counselor and he did not find any evidence of offensive behavior on my part. In fact, he was impressed with how composed and level-headed I remained throughout the discussion. Despite the circumstances, I was the one in control during the discussion. There is no justification for her infidelity and mistreatment of me at this time. I am still in the process of understanding the situation and allowing her to act as she wishes while I gather information. This is not an easy process, particularly given that the individual I was deeply in love with has significantly altered our lives in just a few weeks. I am unable to adequately convey my feelings in words. I am currently experiencing a profound sense of emotional distress. Fortunately, I have the support of my parents and a strong network of friends and family. However, this experience has provided me with a glimpse into the pain of heartbreak, and I am determined to avoid a similar situation in the future. Regarding my personal situation, my wife is returning this week with her parents to retrieve her belongings and finalize the dissolution of our marriage. I am supportive of this decision and have not yet confronted her about the affair. I have yet to address the issue of the affair. I am uncertain as to the most appropriate time and place to do so. Should I confront her in the presence of her parents, or should I speak with her privately? Should I express my feelings, or should I simply present the facts? It is important to note that our state does not assign blame for divorces. I had a complete change of heart towards her when I discovered the affair, and she is now struggling with the consequences of her actions. I arrived in the town last week and finally had a discussion with her. I decided not to bring up the affair in front of her parents, but during the conversation, I caught her in several lies. I spoke to her in a calm and apologetic tone, despite her accusations that I had treated her badly since we got married. She had never previously brought up these issues. She also twisted my words and accused me of emotionally abusing her. Fortunately, my mother was present and called her out on her lies, given that my mother was present in some of those previous discussions. What helped me remain composed during the conversation was not expecting any reconciliation or regret and having a plan of action for the encounter during our discussion. I had two main objectives in mind. Firstly, I wanted to expose her childish behavior, and secondly, I wanted to emphasize to her father that it was crucial for her to see a therapist or counselor and work on her issues. The conversation wrapped up with my wife storming out of the room, leaving me, my mother, and her father to. Furthermore, I wished to highlight that she was mentally unstable when she made baseless accusations against me, while ensuring that my own character was protected. Secondly, I wanted to emphasize to her father that it was crucial for her to see a therapist or counselor and work on her issues. The conversation concluded with my wife storming out of the room, leaving me, my mother, and her father to. The conversation was an opportunity for us to discuss the situation in a calm and rational manner. My father's emotional response indicated that he was aware of the gravity of the situation and that he considered me to be like a son to him. This was a painful realization for him. I was also affected by his words and informed him that I loved his daughter but that I needed to let her go for my own mental health. I revealed the affair to him and he understood my position. I emphasized the necessity for her to face the consequences of her actions as she has yet to do so. Furthermore, I urged him to encourage her to see a therapist. He agreed with me and mentioned that he had been trying to get her to go for a while, but she has been resistant despite the difficult nature of the conversation. I felt that I had achieved my two goals and found comfort in the fact that my father. In conclusion, it can be said that the aforementioned goals were achieved. The following day, when I returned home from work, I observed my wife removing some of her belongings from the house. I wished to be present to ensure that she did not take any of my personal effects during our conversation. We discussed her future plans, during which I discovered that she intended to continue working despite the fact that I was unable to believe that her employer had not yet dismissed her. She informed me that she would attempt to improve her ratings and become a flight instructor. This prompted me to inquire as to her motivation for pursuing this course of action. Our subsequent discussion was characterized by a cordial atmosphere, during which I was able to repair a component on her vehicle. Upon observing her relocation of her belongings, I inquired as to her intended accommodation. She informed me that her parents would provide her with their recreational vehicle, RV, and that she would reside at an RV park. I expressed my perplexity at her decision and asked her to elaborate on her rationale. She stated that she was content with her current employment and that the location of her workplace made her happy. The subject was asked if she was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with AP. She avoided eye contact and denied the accusation, despite the evidence presented. This included specific events such as the 90-minute conversation she had at 11 p.m. during a bachelorette party in June. A call record was also shown to her, which she eventually admitted belonged to AP. Typing out the number in her phone was a comical attempt to avoid the accusation. She attempted to dodge the accusation by saying she claimed that she did not have a close relationship with AP, despite the fact that she actually enjoys being close to him. Furthermore, he works odd hours, which she finds inconvenient. I had a question about flying, which I posed in a calm and composed manner. I advised her that it would be better if she just came clean. It was like watching a grown woman act like a child who got caught in a fib. My wife then asked if I wanted to involve her parents, but I agreed. However, even before I could show them any evidence, her mother started making excuses for her daughter's behavior. The mother offered two explanations for her daughter's behavior. Firstly, she suggested that it might have been a prank call. Secondly, she claimed that it occurred after the couple had started experiencing difficulties. However, neither of these explanations was accurate. I attempted to reason with the mother and asked her to consider the situation objectively, suggesting that there might have been an inappropriate relationship between her daughter and myself. However, she refused to answer and accused me of trying to manipulate her. In response, the mother and daughter both left the house. The mother made a disparaging remark about my treatment of her daughter, suggesting that I would treat the next girl in the same way. The family dynamic was severely dysfunctional, and her father remained silent throughout the ordeal. After a period of time, my wife sent me a text message stating that AP was actually one of her closest friends and that she was experiencing significant distress. Despite the fact that we were not technically separated, she acknowledged that she had been unfaithful to me. She then proposed that we consult with our attorneys to discuss the matter further. However, I highlighted that she had committed a criminal act by surreptitiously recording our conversations without my consent, and involving lawyers would not be prudent. I have not spoken to her since Thursday, but thanks to the assistance of this forum, the situation has taken a significant turn. Finally, I wish to mention that on Sunday morning, I observed my wife attending church, a practice she has not engaged in with me for some time, despite our previous frequency of attendance. After that, she undertook a lengthy drive. The distance between the two locations was approximately 500 miles, after which she returned to her Airbnb accommodation. There has been no evidence of suspicious activity on her part recently, either because she is being cautious or because she has realized the gravity of her mistakes. I believe her when she says that she did not engage in any physical intimacy with the other man, but at this point it does not matter because I already have all the evidence I need. I have already filed for divorce and she will be served with the relevant paperwork within the next couple of weeks. I have not spoken to my soon-to-be ex-wife since the incident occurred. The individual in question is currently in the process of divorcing their spouse. My wife and I have been married for approximately 2 weeks. During this period, she has been served with divorce papers and has responded through her lawyer. However, yesterday she attempted to contact me and claimed that she knew how I found out about her affair. I have not done anything illegal to discover her wrongdoing. She is probably going crazy over the fact that I haven't contacted her and she doesn't know how much I know. She then threatened me by saying that she will call the police or my commander since I'm in the military if I don't reveal how I found out. I was informed this morning that my ex-wife had requested $1,000 in spousal support, which appears to be a fraudulent request. I am aware that she is employed and residing with the individual with whom she had an affair, and therefore does not require the funds. My objective is to maintain my composure and maintain a distance from her. I am attempting to avoid contact with her as much as possible. While this is a positive development, it is accompanied by the less favorable consequence of my former spouse unblocking me on text and requesting to see our dog at a local dog park. I had previously informed her that I would allow her to see the dog, but now I am concerned that allowing her to see the dog will result in her making further threats. I have been enjoying the period of no contact and using this time to focus on my own well-being, socialize with friends and make progress each day. However, once I agreed to let her see our dog, a number of emotions resurfaced, including thoughts such as whether she might want to return, whether she is realizing her mistake or whether she will apologize. In response, I decided to indulge in some online shopping and to check her entire search history on our shared computer. However, I did not find what I was expecting to find. In the past year, there have been numerous searches on our shared computer about various topics, including the reasons behind my shutdown, the perceived selfishness of ending a relationship, and the nuances of dating a woman who has been offended. I had anticipated finding searches related to her infidelity, but it seems that she may have deleted those particular searches. However, upon reviewing her search history, I felt a renewed sense of sympathy for her, despite the fact that I am currently in the process of severing the relationship and initiating divorce proceedings. While I am doing better than I was before, I am currently experiencing a state of confusion due to the fact that I will be seeing her at the dog park on Saturday. I have no desire to resume a relationship with my former partner, but it is evident that she is grappling with significant mental health challenges that have not been addressed. At this juncture, I am constrained to adhere to a policy of complete disengagement, also known as a grey rock, during all necessary communication. This is because my former partner is no longer a part of my life. Over the weekend, I accompanied my former partner to the dog park with the intention of spending time with our dog, as recommended by individuals on this platform and my cousin. Unfortunately, our dog was attacked by another dog just 5 minutes after we arrived. Upon his arrival, we were obliged to take him to the veterinary surgeon. Fortunately, he is now recuperating, although he did lose a nail. This incident brought us together to discuss matters. I had already filed for divorce and she responded by requesting temporary relief and an exorbitant amount of support. When we were at the veterinary surgeon's, I was attempting to maintain emotional neutrality and avoid engaging in conversation. However, she then inquired about my living arrangements, prompting me to reveal that I would be residing with a mutual acquaintance who had also been betrayed by his fiancée. She was concerned about our dog's living situation, so we began discussing how to move forward from this point. I was able to persuade her that her decision to cut off communication was causing more problems for her than for me. After I asked her directly, she admitted that I was not the terrible person she had made me out to be and that I was actually a good person. I also asked her why she did not go to counseling with me before I found out about the affair. She said that she had already made up her mind and that nobody could influence her. The most significant aspect of the conversation was, we agreed to reach an agreement outside of court and eliminate the temporary relief hearing. She deleted an Instagram post about removing toxic people from her life, started receiving online therapy, went to church and reconnected with her family. I informed her that I did not believe our marriage could be saved in its current state, and she concurred, but also agreed to be amicable about the divorce, given that our marriage was so short. She was aware that she would not receive much in the divorce and was willing to conclude it as soon as possible for her emotional well-being. Following my consultation with a legal professional, I was advised to maintain a cordial relationship with my former partner and pursue a negotiated settlement without resorting to litigation. This approach has been a welcome departure from my previous experiences, though the Labor Day weekend presented particular challenges. My dog exhibited concerning behavioral changes, displaying signs of severe separation anxiety. The separation anxiety experienced by the subject after his spouse abandoned them for 2 months is evidenced by the subject's chewing on the door and urinating on the house, even when the spouse was absent for just an hour. The subject's distress at seeing the dog in such pain after the spouse's departure is understandable, given that the subject had assumed that the spouse would assist with the dog's care, given that the spouse did not work full-time. After she left, I was forced to make significant sacrifices to care for him, including taking extended lunch breaks to let him out and paying for a dog sitter on Monday. When she came to pick up more of her belongings, she also took the dog with her. While I love our dog, it has been a tremendous relief to no longer have to worry about his anxiety. She has taken responsibility for him, which has been a positive change. In a subsequent conversation, I experienced a notable improvement in my emotional state. I inquired about her experience with teletherapy and she informed me that it was challenging to communicate with a therapist remotely. I proposed that she consider scheduling an in-person appointment with a counselor, given that she remained under my healthcare coverage until the divorce proceedings concluded. This was the first time I had suggested this option, and she did not express any negative sentiments. In fact, she expressed gratitude for the suggestion. We proceeded to discuss the situation in its entirety, during which I highlighted that I had observed a shift in her behavior several weeks prior to her departure. This was evidenced by a series of concerning changes, including a marked decline in her eating and sleeping patterns, the onset of unusual dreams, and a noticeable difficulty in engaging in conversation. She acknowledged the presence of these issues but asserted that the sequence of events remained inaccurate. Her physical appearance was also a cause for concern, characterized by a noticeable change in her hairstyle, a significant weight loss, and a lack of vitality in her facial features. I found this woman to be unappealing, despite her previous physical beauty. In our final conversation, she stated, "In a few years, you will meet someone who is so special and will be the person you're meant to be with. I just could never be that girl for you." I replied, "You always were that girl, you just didn't see it in yourself." I was unaware that this admission was precisely what I needed to hear. Her self-esteem was so low that she believed she did not deserve me or our life together. This is why she left and went to someone she considered to be beneath her. It is unfortunate that someone can be so emotionally unstable. However, after experiencing so much negativity, deceit, and lies, it was encouraging to finally hear her admit what I had suspected all along. Despite proceeding with our divorce, we have agreed to split our assets amicably, rather than engaging in a lengthy court case, which would have been more detrimental to both of us. In retrospect, I believe that I would have been a more suitable partner for her. I would have liked to have her enter therapy at the earliest opportunity, but I appreciate that it can be challenging to identify mental illness if one has no personal experience of it. I will now provide an update on the situation. She recently returned our dog to me, but he was infested with fleas. She then asked me if I could take care of him again, and we had a productive conversation about it. As you may recall from my previous account, she had an affair with her flight instructor while I was providing financial and educational support for her flying lessons, given that I am already a pilot. I had suspicions that her infidelity was triggered by her struggles and the act of flying. It is likely that her instructor suggested that she should spend more money on flying to improve, which is why she asked me for more money, even though she was already flying for 3 hours a week and spending approximately $750 per week. When I refused to provide her with more money, it was because it was not the right decision for our relationship. It is possible that she may have considered using her body to obtain free lessons instead. Last Friday, she informed me that she had ceased flying because it was prohibitively expensive and that she needed to focus on improving her mental state. It appears that she has abandoned the rationale behind her infidelity. Additionally, I suspect that she and the individual with whom she had an affair are no longer together. She mentioned that she is currently residing in a pull-out bed in a house with 6 occupants and 2 dogs. It seems that she is living with a woman in her 40s, recently divorced and now living with her parents, has experienced a significant change in her circumstances over the past 2 months. Her lifestyle has undergone a radical transformation, moving from a life of luxury, with no financial support from her husband, to a challenging period of adjustment. The couple had previously owned an airplane, which they used for flight training. However, they have now relocated to a smaller house with 6 occupants. She is barely managing to make ends meet with her new job. Another of her aspirations, namely to become a flight attendant for a major airline, was also abandoned. Despite being called back to work in July, she declined when I inquired about it. She stated that she would not feel comfortable running into my friends who worked there. She has yet to resume work. She has not demonstrated any remorse. I believe that she still attributes her actions to my influence, although the reality of the situation is now becoming apparent. I have been attempting to persuade her to seek mental health assistance without her taking it out on me. We have agreed to settle our divorce outside of court, which is beneficial in this context. Yesterday marked my birthday, and I am grateful to have an amazing family and friends who wished me well and have been supporting me throughout this ordeal. The most amusing thing my ex said to me was, "You can keep all our mutual friends." She is aware that she has made a significant error and is too embarrassed to face people who know what she did in a little over a month. I will be moving across the country for my military service, and I am excited to start a new and promising life there. My only hope is that my soon-to-be ex-wife gets the help she needs, because it seems like she is spiraling out of control and might not recover from this. It has been a long time since I provided an update on my situation, but I finally made the move from Florida to California and am ready to start anew. I have been thinking a lot about the fallout from her infidelity, and it is incredible to see how much damage it has caused. The wife receives the assistance she requires, as it appears that she is experiencing a significant decline in mental health. It has been a considerable period of time since I provided an update on my circumstances, but I have finally relocated from Florida to California. I am now prepared to commence a new chapter in my life. I have been contemplating the consequences of my wife's infidelity, which has had a profound impact on our family. It is astonishing to observe the extent of the damage caused by her actions. The dissolution of the marriage has resulted in a number of significant changes for me. I was previously residing in a pleasant house in a desirable area with a dog, but now I am living in a less salubrious property in a less desirable part of town. My former spouse has taken up residence with her parents in a property in an area that is somewhat less salubrious than the one in which I was living. While I am awaiting the conclusion of the divorce proceedings, I am residing with a roommate in California. I have found that attempting to negotiate the terms of the divorce settlement has been an exercise in futility. Each time we have attempted to reach an agreement, my former spouse has been unable to reach a satisfactory compromise. The negotiations ultimately failed, and the couple decided to trust their lawyer and demand $120,000, despite having been married for only 2 years. Over the course of 5 years, I found myself in a state of frustration, hoping that she would revert to being the loving partner I had known. Instead, she exhibited behaviors that were vicious, dishonest, and manipulative. Fortunately, I have become more adept at spotting her lies and tricks, and I am determined not to allow myself to become trapped in this cycle again. My hope is that we can settle matters through mediation in December, but I am not even sure that this will be possible. It is becoming increasingly unlikely that this will be a viable solution. Recently, a friend of mine showed me her Facebook profile, which I am unable to access. I observed that she had been posting in a passive-aggressive manner about emotional offenses and how one should leave a relationship when feeling emotionally offended. This is the opposite of what I experienced in our relationship, and it caused me significant distress, particularly since she never mentioned these issues to me. It has become apparent that she is rewriting our history to others. This makes it all the more important to cut off contact with her. The pain caused by her recent posts was significant, but I have now learned to detach myself from them. I recall all the times I sat with her, listened to her issues, and tried to calm her down when she was upset about it. It is now evident that trivial matters are of no consequence, as the individual in question has a personality disorder that can only be resolved if she decides to seek help. While the future remains uncertain, it is clear that the present situation requires resolution. If anyone is currently dealing with a similar situation, it is recommended that they seek to extricate themselves from the situation as soon as possible. It is important to note that individuals with such disorders often lack the emotional intelligence to engage in constructive communication. A year has passed. Those with BPD often blame others for their problems and refuse to take responsibility for their actions. This is akin to putting one's hand in a snake's cage and being bitten. It is therefore advisable to avoid such situations. I have not provided an update on my life for some time. However, I can now report that my circumstances have changed significantly. I am now able to view my former partner in a more objective light. I no longer blame her for the difficulties we experienced. I am now able to perceive my former partner as the deceitful and hurtful individual that she truly is. It took some time for me to recover from the trauma that she inflicted upon me, but after a few months of emotional distress, I was finally able to move on. I even had the opportunity to fly my airplane with my father and embark on a trip to Las Vegas with friends, as well as engage in skiing activities. Additionally, I commenced a new position, which served as a welcome distraction. In December, we finally reached a divorce agreement through mediation. While I am not pleased about having to pay her, it is worth every penny to finally rid myself of her toxicity. This week, I received some amazing news. I was accepted into pilot training. This is something I have tried and failed at before, but I did not give up, and it has finally paid off. I am unsure of what is next. The experience of navigating a challenging relationship and divorce has undoubtedly equipped me with the resilience to face future challenges. I believe that sharing this journey with others who are navigating similar difficulties can be beneficial. It is essential to recognize that every situation has a reason for occurring, and that with time, life will eventually improve. I am immensely grateful for the support and encouragement I have received from this community during my darkest moments.